Okay, so I think we're going to get started. Let me know if you guys can see me talking. Let me know if there's any audio issues or video issues seeing the screen. I'm here in Singapore in our Singapore office. You can see a bit of the office backdrop behind me, but yeah, just let me know if there's any buffering issues or anything. We're trying this new streaming software out. We're gonna give it a little bit of time for viewers to stream in. We just posted the link. Has it been posted on Twitter as well? Okay. Go grab some water. Perfect, Santi. Wonderful to hear that. Do let me know at any moment if the audio quality doesn't sound too nice. I'm not sure exactly how much delay there is on the stream, so do forgive me if I don't catch your comments and questions immediately. But yeah, if we have a few more people streaming in, maybe we'll start around 6:10. Actually, in GMT time, that's going to be 2:10. In the meantime, feel free to ask your questions either on the Telegram channel with hashtag FTXAMA or also in the YouTube chat area, and we'll be sure to get to you. But yeah, I hope everyone's having a safe time right now amidst this crisis. I do feel for everyone who is currently in lockdown. It's not a lot of fun. And Singapore actually has been in semi-lockdown, I'd say, for the last month. We started working remotely around 4 or 5 weeks ago, so we totally understand the pains of working remotely when you have been working in the office for so long. But of course, our team is half remote, so we have lots of people that have the experience that are helping guide the whole process, becoming our pillars, so to speak, of how to balance work-life balance when you are all the time at home and all the time either in a kind of like a Schrodinger's cat situation of working and not working at the same time, or always working if I, if I might say that. So yeah, hope you guys are all faring well and working hard still. I see a few more people trickling in. Maybe we might even start earlier. All of this is going to be recorded as per usual, so if anyone did miss this event, they'd be able to catch up on it later. However, they wouldn't have the opportunity to ask questions live, which is what our current live audience would be able to. Okay, I guess let's get started. It's around 5 minutes since we clicked go live, so I think it's the right time for us to start. I think this AMA is going to be dissected into a few parts. First, I really want to give all our community followers a chance to really see into the inner workings of what we're trying to build across the ecosystem. Of course, we have been sharing so much about our latest modules. I think I started tweeting about it back in December that we're really proud of and that we think is really going to put the entire end-to-end aspects or value proposition of the FintruX ecosystem, the FintruX network, into fruition and also be able to tie it all together in a seamless fashion. And today I'll be showing you exactly how that's going about. Um, of course, the specific modules, the deep breakdown of what that module does and how it looks like and how it feels like. And of course, how it ties into the grander scheme of the big picture. And once I finish talking a bit about that, I'll be sharing about our current market situation. As you guys know, COVID-19 has affected a lot of small businesses globally. And to be honest, it's not just small businesses that are affected, but also the lending and financing ecosystem as well. So I'll be giving a kind of a rough guideline of what's been happening here in Singapore and how it might affect us now and in the future. And of course, by that time, I'm sure you have accumulated a lot of good questions. Feel free to ask them throughout the entire conversation. I'll try to tackle all of them when we get to that section. Or if there's an immediate question that I can answer that's relevant and urgent, I'll also be answering it as we go along. I think there's also been some questions that's been asked over on the Telegram channel, so I'll also do my best to answer them as we go along. So without further ado, I guess I kind of want to share a little rough sketch of what we're working on. This is actually an internal document for us, but of course, it's important for me to be transparent with the community and show you guys exactly what's the whole big fuss about FintruX. What are we all about? So I'm going to switch the camera over to my screen recording, and hopefully you can still see my camera. So basically what we're building is a fully integrated blockchain-powered ecosystem that automates and streamlines B2B and B2C financing. What it basically means in a nutshell is that every time an SME or individual is onboarded on any one of our systems, it creates their trust profile, which is a one source of trust that's shareable within the FintruX network. So basically you can see it like this. We have a broker system that's called Trux, which is the brand new module that I'll go deep into. We've always had the securitization system, which is the legacy of RoboQuarter Corporation. A bit of background about that, if you're not familiar, it's a system that's currently running around 96% of the entire securitization market in Canada, the pass-through market, and is around $3 to $4 billion of assets under management through our systems. And of course, our clients are top banks, reputable financial institutions, and also insurance companies. And we can call them funders for a easier and better word. So being that we've always had the larger end of the industry in terms of where the money comes from, where the money is flowing, you think of the money trickling from this all the way down to here, where we have originators who are lenders who are then dispersing the money out to the borrowers who are generally represented by brokers. And we had a unique value proposition here where we were able to save cost and increase efficiencies across the entire spectrums by simply having everybody on one system and most importantly, one code base. One big problem of many industries is that because all the different systems don't talk, they're not on the same code base, one's in PHP, one's in Python, one's on SQL Server, different databases, different architecture, it just makes it really hard for everyone to communicate. And when it comes time to audit, and which is really important, especially in securitization, when you're selling bulk loans over to a financial institutions, they need to audit every single loan and make sure that it's all well put together, it's not a fraudulent transaction, and it's also being paid back on time. It really makes sense for a system to be in charge of the whole end-to-end process. So over in Canada, our funders have tasked us to work with their originators so that we can build them a proper origination system that's going to be able to process the loans quickly, be able to process and disperse loans in minutes, and even have low-code customization by the user. As you guys may know, we are leveraging a powerful piece of technology called Rintagi. It stands for Rejuvenation with Intelligence, of Integrity, and Agility. And basically, it helps our systems become really modular and really customizable by anybody with the right business acumen and also the right development expertise in building what reports, building what workflows, and building the business rules that make their business runs. So basically, what we're providing then is anybody with a domain expertise for target clients, be it equipment lessors, balance sheet lenders, or even crowdfunding lenders, we're giving them an entire system so that they can be able to disperse loans and manage their loans in minutes. And that's a big improvement. If you think about the financing space right now, oftentimes it takes almost 3 to 5 business days to turn around a loan, especially in Southeast Asia. Of course, in the US, the technology is a bit more refined, and you can have us to thank for that as well, or at least a part of that. And for us, it's really bringing this technology over to the Asian region, the APAC region, that's making us really have a strong value proposition. Now, here's where the most important part, and I think one that's very relevant to everybody that's watching this video right now, is that we have innovated a broker system called FintruX to help leverage all the case flow that's being transferred over to lenders. Now, you can kind of think of it like this. You have a lot of different platforms and companies that deal with SMEs on a day-by-day basis. Now, these might be loan brokers, these might be freelance brokers, car dealerships, I guess that's also can bridge into consumer. But also you have platforms, B2B procurement platforms, e-commerce platforms. Just so many different platforms out there have actually a reach of SMEs, and they're not able to help them monetize on it other than just being able to sell them a service. So what we're offering them, these kind of platforms, is how can we help their customers get financing at scale so that the order value of whatever they're purchasing on the platform itself can increase. And of course, any companies that make a living off finding great leads and selling them off to lenders can also leverage our platform too, because our system helps these brokers refer cases to hundreds of lenders instantly with a clean pipe of data, one source, and all verified. Again, this is so important because at the end of the funnel, the funders, they want clean data. They want it to be easily auditable, and they want it to be easily transferred into their databases as well. So that's the power of having an integrated system. Now, this is kind of the big picture here. You have the broker system sending leads to origination systems, and then you have the origination sending the deals to securitization systems, which are the bulk deals that the origination platforms have. And why they might want to do that, for people who don't understand the financing space properly, is that for every lender, you only have a certain amount of funds to use. Maybe you have a line of credit from a hedge fund or wherever else you're getting your source of financing, crowdfunding lenders. And let's say that your yearly volume is around $100 million. Now, once you lend out all that 100 million, you don't have any more money. You need to get it from somewhere. And one way that lenders do this is they sell this bulk tranche of loans over to funders who are, again, investment banks, fund houses, insurance companies, who will buy them up and be able to give the unlocked cash flow back to the originator so that they can lend yet again. So their portfolio goes from having $1 million of loans to $200 million of loans, 100 to 200 million. So there's a lot of sales opportunities here for us since we are handling out the end-to-end. But what I want to show, and I'll move away from this kind of a robust document here, into a kind of a presentation to share what it really looks like for brokers. Give me a second, just gonna write my notes here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer anything here. Really, I'm very excited about what we're doing in this space, and I'm really happy to share it with everyone involved. Okay, So let's move on. So basically, what we're creating for brokers is a CRM. It's smart, efficient, trusted, just like all of our solutions that are built on the blockchain. And basically, we help brokers improve the efficiency of case management and case dispersals to multiple lenders so we can save them time and administration headaches. This is a big picture for them. You have credit data, which is important to evaluate the borrower, which is being entered by the broker and also being entered by the business owner at the same time. And at the same time, we're also leveraging third-party APIs from the government sources or public information or even accounting softwares to really make sure we have a robust big picture of the entire credit history of the borrower, but also any projections that they may or maybe have to be made in terms of their credit worthiness. And we store that all into something we call the trust profile. This is something that everyone is very well familiar with. Essentially, you can think of it as a permission-based cloud repository, a shared folder, which can then be accessed, managed by specific lenders who may want to lend this borrower money. And already here you can see that there's a lot of efficiencies to be had because now instead of having to apply manually for every single lender and using their own onboarding applications and putting their own unique information there, instead we're pulling everything into one source so that they can choose who they want to disperse it to at any time. Basically, we're helping business owners and brokers populate their trust profile. It's 4 easy steps. It's a mobile app as well, so they can do it online and on the go. They can certify that all the data is clean, and they can also save information so that they don't have to submit again and again when you want to apply for more financing. So this is the profile that's going to live with the SME for their lifetime, and we want to see this grow and grow as it becomes the immutable record of truth for every SME out there, and of course leveraging the blockchain to do so. Some cost savings that we're currently customizing on request for our customers is, again, pulling bank statements, OCR, pulling information from Xero, from QuickBooks, like other accounting softwares, and also pulling company information from the governments through something called CourtPass here in Singapore. Now, once this profile is completed, the broker can send cases directly to multiple lenders that are on the platform. And essentially, this can help their clients find the best financing opportunities, also be able to track the progress of the case. So what's in inquiry, what's in review, what's having a site visit, and they can compare financing terms offered at a glance. And it's very easy for them to manage their case deal flow. And of course, then you have the opportunity to standardize submissions. So on the other end, for the lender, what they will see all the data very nicely populated in one place that they can easily decide if they want to lend or not lend. And this already saves so much time. Usually when you send cases over to lenders, it's all a bunch of mess. There's docs everywhere. There's no clear, concise summary of what this case is all about. And for us, we programmatically are able to derive those insights out and be able to demonstrate to the lender exactly what they need to know and what they need to focus on if they want to make a quick decision or not. And of course, we can customize this to have specific, unique business rule so that if it already fulfills the criteria of a lender that knows what they want, then it can automatically be approved and disbursements can happen. Again, this is why having an end-to-end system is so important. So another thing that we do here is we help them with workflow management. And I think this was a question that was had over the last few months when I first shared some of the screenshots of the platform being developed is, why do they need chat? And what's important about it? Well, the chat is important because if you think about the workflow management for brokers and for lenders, they're managing hundreds of cases at a time. And if each case has its own unique chat, meaning that the borrower and the lender have to be communicating, whether it be through WhatsApp, Telegram, or any other channel, even email, then you can imagine that it's all over the place. The email doesn't correspond to the case ID number, which doesn't correspond to the WhatsApp chat that's ongoing, on another phone device. And if there's two different relationship managers managing this case, then there's two different chats going on and nobody's none the wiser in terms of what's actually happening with this deal. So what we do is essentially we pair up the information of the case with the actual chat that's going on about it in terms of, hey, what information are we lacking? Do we need to do a site visit? what's the terms that's being offered right now, and stuff like that, where it's really important for all the information to be stored in one place and be able to communicate with the proper stakeholders involved. And of course, we then provide additional customizations where they can have dashboards to improve efficiencies, they can have business rules to activate dormant clients, track and manage affiliate payouts, really just everything you'd expect in a CRM, but specifically focused on the financing industry. Now, this is the broker side, and I also want to share about one very unique opportunity that we've had here in Singapore. Because, of course, right now with COVID-19, a lot of governments are announcing bailout schemes, so to speak, or injection stimulus packages for the economy so that they make sure that we don't go into a global recession. So one thing the Singapore government has been always doing very well is taking care of their SMEs in terms of grants. And especially in this trying time, the Singapore government has upped the amount of grants available for Singaporean companies, and of course also any loans that they may want to take out with the bank. Now, one thing that we do foresee though is that because the stimulus package is focused on helping banks lend to their SMEs, the SMEs that they're really talking about is still the bankable SMEs. It's not the unbankable and the ones that are 1 to 3 years in operation, the ones that we have been always been trying to help in our line of work, not just the ones that the banks are already servicing with lower interest rates, of course. So one way that we're trying to leverage the government stimulus package, and we saw this coming almost even a month ago, and we started talking about this and preparing our system to handle this, is we want to help any pre-approved vendors in Singapore, meaning that any vendors who qualify for the solutions to be covered by a grant of 70% of the amount of the total project amount if an SME customer goes to them. So basically what happens is if an SME customer goes to a vendor and says, I want financing from you. So let's go here. If one of our vendors has a solution that qualifies for subsidies from the government for SME customers, there generally is still a 6-month financing gap, meaning that from the first meeting and they apply for a grant and then they start a project, there's between here and here, there's still 6 months until the customer gets the grant financing, gets the grant from the government. Now, this is why they need grant financing, because if you're an SME, and especially in this trying time right now, you don't have the money to pay for new expansions, for new digitalization of your services and just general expansion. You're focusing on hunkering down. But because there is this government grant that's out there, they're trying to encourage people to expand and not just hunker down in this time, because they're saying, hey, we're the government, we're willing to pay up to 70% of the cost. Now, this 70% of the cost comes 6 months later. So there's a 6 months financing gap where we can help. So basically we work with platforms that are qualifying for subsidies from the governments, and I think we'll be announcing one later on, and it's one that a lot of people in the blockchain space knows inside the Singapore blockchain space. But we also work with a few other vendors as well that may not be as well known, but essentially anybody with an SME following can not only leverage our platform for financing in general, but also for grant financing in particular, and that makes them more creditworthy because of course the government is the one footing the bill. So basically what happens is we offer them a lending as a service API that helps vendors send potential customers directly to multiple lenders. Again, we showed the module earlier that offer grant financing so they can always get the best rates for their customers and not be restrained to one lender and their terms. So basically all they have to do is make the sale, help their customer apply for loans through our app, get quick approvals within 1 to 5 business days. Loans are dispersed directly in the customer's bank account. The customer can pay upfront for their services, and then repayment is due upon grant disbursements. Very easy, very simple, and our software is the thing that can make it all seamless and make it all work, because we connect, again, just to reiterate, the borrowers, the brokers as the middleman, if they hold the customer base, and the lenders. And finally, eventually, when they want to sell off all their loans, they can sell it to the funders. So just a brief here. Again, it's helping them with the efficiency of case management and case dispersals. They save time, administration headaches, and most specifically for vendors, they're not in the financing space. They need our help. We are the consultants, so to speak, to help them navigate the scary world of financing and be able to go about and run their main business, right? And we just handle the financing on their end. So again, we have two options for them. We either integrate with their products, which is paid customizations, or they can use our mobile or desktop app, which is free. So let's go for the first option first. It's fast. The borrowers click a single button, they give consent. We pull the documents and forward it to the lender of their customers or vendor's choice. The vendor can be alerted when the application is accepted. The vendor can also monitor all the status and progress for our open cases. And of course, what's most important is the SME benefits, is that they get multiple options rather than just one or two that they may normally know, and that they're not even going to get the good terms from. And we reduce delays for them, we reduce manual processes, and we reduce restrictions, which is so important for a solution in our space. Really, the key aspect and the core aspect value prop for us is efficiency. How can we bring more efficiency to the market so that eventually over time it becomes a decentralized finance, and everyone knows what our first module was. Our first FintruX module, our first innovation is decentralized finance. Right now, if you go to app.fintrux.com and you pass all the KYC checks, any single business can lend to another business. Think about how powerful that is. If a customer owes you money as a business and you're the vendor, you can convert that into a loan, and if that loan goes bad, you can report it on their credit. That's crazy, and that's DeFi, and that's what DeFi can do for you. And what we're trying to do in the financing space here is make everything so streamlined, so efficient that eventually becomes DeFi, where manual processes are reduced, where human error is taken away because there's just less humans needed to do the job. And at the end of the day, all the costs are lower, and there's no difference between having almost like my analogy would be, you have robo-advisors now. You don't need to pay a financial consultant to do your investment decisions. There's a robo-advisor in the same way, not a robo-advisor for us per se, but we have streamlined the entire end-to-end process. So basically, we help businesses focus on their main business. We help them bolster existing revenue streams, and we help them build new revenue streams, which is so important. And we're helping not just the SME industry, but also their vendors, who are also, as you guessed it, SMEs as well. So they can also send cases to our app, and I kind of showed that already before. This is the end-to-end process. They can choose someone, they can send it. Simple as that. And basically, that's what we've been working on for the last while. Yeah, I'd really like to let's switch back to my camera. And let's see if there's any questions that I can tackle before I go into a bit about the COVID-19 and how that might affect everything else. And I'll take a chance to get a quick drinking break as well. All right. So I think one really good question that was asked the other day, and it was by one of our valued community admins, actually, Joe Cypher. And what he asked about was, right now, the entire world is locking down on lending. And it's very obvious when you see mortgages are not being passed. Everyone's worried about a debt bubble, right? And if you're not sure what that is, please do Google it. It's a very fantastic and interesting concept. And we see definitely we see a shift in the market here in Singapore where the banks are obviously getting the government to back all their loans. There's a stimulus package where if the bank is giving out a loan of $1 million, then basically the government would take on the brunt of 80% of that, which is insane and very generous. But also that's still only focused on the top line, the best cream of the crop customers, the cream of crop SMEs. And that's still not servicing the lower part of it. The non-listed companies, the SMEs that are in the business for 1 to 3 years, and that hurts. That pains me, right? And one thing we're also noticing is that the private lenders who are not getting the benefits of the stimulus package are now shutting their doors. They're not giving out more loans because either their investors have stopped providing loans to the market in essence, and also they are having increasing non-performing loans because if the loans that they're making are generally riskier on average and the economy is not helpful for anybody, then the riskier clients will get hit first because they're just less creditworthy in general. And in those cases, obviously, then defaults will rise. So we're going to see a shift. We're going to see a shift in the market where private lenders are going to be less and less relevant. We're going to have banks, or at least private lenders who are closer to banks, take a bit more risk because they see that there's more room to grow. The government is backing some more of their loans. And there's opportunities for us to leverage on the grant financing market, which I have shared before. So if you ask me where I see the entire end-to-end stream moving, I do see it moving towards the banks. I see a consolidation in the market of private lenders in general. And I see that if the government is going to keep pumping money into the economy, what we can do in the short term is take advantage of that. But in the long term, we really need to see how we can cut more and more efficiencies so that there's no debt bubble anymore. So there's no misguided use of funds in terms of the private lenders, in terms of the alternative lenders and how they disperse, right? It doesn't make sense that they can keep continuously dispersing and dispersing to very, very bad and non-creditworthy individuals. They need a proper structure. They need a proper system to manage all their deal flow. They need a proper system to manage their credit parameters, their credit guidelines, their proper credit scorecard that's going to be evaluating and adjudicating every single customer that goes through. And with our systems, because we're handling the end-to-end, we have so much data coming through our systems, we're able to provide the tools that lenders need to properly assess the credit, to properly manage their appetites of the loans that they're going to provide, and to have the efficiencies that they don't need to go out and hunt for deals because we're bringing the deals to their door through our systems. So there's a question that came from Brad James. Thank you for asking. How are you attracting your customers? So right now we're working on a partnership model where the partners are brokers and the platforms that offer that have a large customer base of SMEs, and of course, if they offer grants, if their solutions are pre-qualified for grants, then the better in Singapore. And we help them monetize off their customer base. Those are our first customers, and we are currently working with them through word of mouth and of course through just manual cold calling and knocking on doors, and of course in every startup that's what needs to be done. On the other side, on the originator side, I mentioned that in Canada, our securitization clients are actually pushing us downstream to their originators, so that's easier for us. That's a warm lead, and we're just simply helping them on behalf of the securitizers above. Now, in Singapore, because our brokers already have contacts to the lenders, we already have all the lenders on board on our systems. And through the lender relationships that we have, we're slowly infiltrating their ranks and showing them the power of our technology and giving them a front end to receive cases. And if they choose so, they can upgrade to our origination systems that are going to help them manage the whole end to end. So that's the important pieces for us, really being able to target the whole end-to-end spectrum of the market, having the right reputation and the right players to be able to not only refer us in, but also be able to bring in new players to the space that don't know the financing market and need a guiding hand. That's what our role would be and what our role is right now. And really, I think along the next few months, you'll see a lot of different partnerships that we're going to be announcing and sharing on the social media, just because it makes sense for us to not only be able to help our clients get their clients financing, but also help their business overall. And because right now everybody needs money. It's no question, and every business is looking about how they can make their processes more efficient without spending much more. That's where we can essentially play a huge role in helping them not only acquire more customers, but also help them increase order value. So that's kind of the picture there. So one thing that Florian is asking, maybe I missed it, but could you expand on the LexisNexis partnership? So that's something that will be released in this quarterly report. There's something that's there's a fantastic case study that we worked out with them that showcases the whole end-to-end of how our partnership works. I think I wouldn't be doing it justice if I'm talking about it here before it's well and released out for you guys to enjoy. But yes, we are official partners and we have done a lot of good work together. So I'm very happy to share that case study once the quarterly report comes out. Actually, probably today or tomorrow. No? Oh, sorry. Oh, a quarterly report for upcoming. That's right. Yeah, I'll have to update you guys on the exact dates. So sorry, my team is telling me different things. I need to get back to you on that. But yeah, please look forward to it. There's a case study coming up. Um, so Senti asked a good question. Thank you, Senti. Always, you've always been very engaged with our AMAs and ask great questions. Thank you so much for that. The FTX token is pretty much under the radar in terms of the crypto investor scene. Any plans to help the situation? And of course, the business development must be the top priority and technology development too. So yeah, that's one thing that we've always been focusing on. We think that if there's no active participation in the ecosystem that we're building, it doesn't really matter what kind of marketing we push in terms of token velocity for speculators. And one thing why I say that is because, right, especially right now with the whole bear market impending, we see a lot of tokens that if they were purely based on hype and speculation, they're now getting delisted off platforms, and they're not only getting delisted, but they're also getting they're running out of money because it takes a lot of money to build up that kind of hype in the crypto space. Just sharing some facts and figures. I mean, getting a listing on a tier 2 exchange or whatever you decide that tier is, but just in the space, it's around 100K to 300K USD. And if you go towards a big name, right, it goes from $1 million to $3 million. And if you think about all the marketing costs incurred on that, where you have companies that are spending that kind of money to list, putting liquidity on exchanges, which can range from 200K to 500K of tokens and Ethereum and Bitcoin onto the exchange, and also putting the marketing budgets to talk to influencers, interviewers, etc., and it becomes not just not just a few $100,000, but a few $1 million just to get that kind of reach. And that's millions of dollars that's not going towards your business. Now, of course, if they're a crypto business, if they are targeting the crypto demographic, and their main users, primary users are crypto adopters, then of course, 100%, I get it, makes sense, you do you. For us, we're focusing on building an ecosystem at large. Our brand is very important to us, and of course, our customers and our ecosystem is just as high priority. So really, what we're focusing on is getting the customers on board. And again, like I said, everything's running on our blockchain. We have recently upgraded to using the Quorum blockchain for some of our pilot customers here in Singapore. We think that it provides much faster bandwidth and just greater opportunities over the Ethereum blockchain. And of course, over time, we're going to be doing a possible token swap as well. More details will be released on that. But for us, it's more about what matters for the customer. And what matters for the customer right now is providing the efficiency, providing the scale, and providing the end-to-end ecosystem that captures everybody on the market in one place. So hopefully that answers your question. So it might be time to go through the rest of the questions out in the Telegram channels as well. Let's see. Anything in the Telegram channels that we want to cover? Okay, so let me cover one question that came up also. Let me just bring it up. Great question so far, by the way, guys. Really appreciate that. I'm just loading up my Telegram. Bear with me for a quick second. And by the way, I do hope you're all keeping safe. I'm not sure the situation in all your home countries right now. Maybe you can let me know in the chat what home country you're from. But I do hope you're keeping safe. What's most important right now is family. What's most important right now is health. And I think without good health, you can't do anything. That's one thing we realized. This year is burning out is no good for anyone. If maybe I'll show you guys later, but we actually even set when we first moved into this office, we even set up a sleeping space here in the office for us to kind of sleep if we're working until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the office, and we couldn't get a chance to go home. But really, with the light of the current situation, it's given us a fresh perspective of what really matters, right? And what matters is having the right health and right sleep so that you can focus on your day. If you're just pulling all-nighters every single day for weeks, for months on end, you're not going to be effective. And I hope that you guys also take in mind, like this current moment is spending time with your family is also very important too. So don't forget that. Yes, so one question was, every crisis or economic downturn breeds new unicorns, and the last one obviously gave rise to several platform-type companies that dominate their respective fields. You have Uber, Airbnb, Facebook, etc. So, what opportunities do we see in this space? What might work here? So, one thing that we do see, again, I said there's probably going to be a consolidation in the alternative lending space, and whether or not that might be an opportunity for us or someone else, that's something that's up in the air. I can't confirm. Our plans in that area, but I definitely think there needs to be a player, or at least even a system that combines every single thing to do with financing. And one thing that's really strong about our system, like I don't know if you guys have noticed it already, but I mean, I want to bring it out if you haven't, is we're not just limited to doing, working capital, unsecured loans, or even, what we can really expand to is any type of loan, home equity line of credits. We can expand to mortgages. We can expand to, car leases, equipment leases, and really anything finance related can flow through the pipes of our system. And not only that, think about anything that you might need financing or credit information for in terms of opening accounts. So things I'm relating to is equity financing as well. People that want to go find investors into their equity, whether it be a convertible note or even just plain up Series A, Series B. All the documents are relatively the same, and because we keep so much data on how the end-to-end financing of them is done, and of course the different loans that they've gotten over the years, their different bank statements that how their revenue has gone up, gone down, different directors that's been in charge of the company. All these are important insights that can be leveraged into more data for VCs, for hedge funds, for really anybody who's looking to invest in companies to further dive into and further digest and understand. So I think the play of this and moving forward is definitely data. It's definitely going to be AI and machine learning. One thing that we're really keen on building is a proper scorecard for the SME financing industry. One thing about this space is that it's definitely more art than science. You can have two different credit officers in the same lending company look at a customer completely differently, and one will say lend and one will say don't lend. So which one do you trust in? And in this case, this is where programmatic and calculations make sense. Is it shouldn't just be gut feel. Gut feel, it's not going to work all the time. I do agree that it might work some of the time, but you need proper analytics, you need proper information, and you need proper guidelines in order to lend responsibly. And this is something I've been talking about in my previous blogs. It's something I've talked about in my AMAs, and it's something that I cannot stop rehashing because it's something I haven't seen that's being solved in the market today. So, of course, we're starting off with Singapore. We want to build a strong base here, but as I mentioned before, we also are building in Canada as well. And we just really see this expanding from Canada to the States and from Singapore to APAC region in general. And the sky's the limit in terms of what we can do here and the different opportunities that are up for us to grab and for us to take hold of. If someone, Brad has another fantastic question. Thank you, Brad, for asking. If someone has $1 million to invest or earn interest on, how secure would it be on our platform, or is that not the approach you take? So that's something I do want to bridge across right now. One thing that we're not too keen on building out and one too keen on facilitating right now is accredited investors. And like what my definition of accredited investors are is anybody with, let's say, $1 million, like you said in your example, Brad, that just wants to invest it somewhere, right? And generally, the platforms that allow accredited investors to invest need to give a lot of guidance on what is good to lend and what is bad to lend. And essentially, these are the peer-to-peer platforms that you know very well, or even in the case of maybe some platforms that just manage your money for you. That's not something we're currently focusing on in the financing realm. There's definitely some other realms that we would be looking at in terms of that. But in terms of the financing realm, what we've realized is it really takes someone with the proper domain knowledge in the field of the financing that they want to do, whether it be supply chain financing, trade financing, even working capital, but in a specific, F&B industry, for example, food and beverages, that they know what's good to lend to. And right now we're leveraging on the expertise of these experts in the space where they are doing the loans, right? We're seeing the loans that they're agreeing on, that they're processing, that they're approving. And then that's where the insights can then be built and hopefully in the future also be able to leverage accredited individuals like yourself to invest in loans. Now, if you're talking about other types of investments, definitely I'm sure the sky's the limit. There's many different types of investments that can be held in terms of, let's say, mutual funds, ETFs, even general stocks. Brokerages in essence are the tools to help you with that. And there's many opportunities for DeFi to play a role and our technology to also have plugins into that. As I mentioned before, our trust profile is so well robust. I'm very confident that this will become a standard inside not only the finance industry, but any industry that needs to verify ASME customer, SME profile. But in terms of financing right now, I wouldn't necessarily say that we can give the proper guidance for an accredited individual to give out a loan on their own behalf. That's something that hopefully with better data and more mistakes on the backs of others, so to speak, that's we can help with that. So there's another question also on social media. Let's see what they're asking. Yeah, can you bring that closer? Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. So so they're asking, what are our customers looking for in terms of value-added services from us? Yes. So basically, our customers are looking to transform their existing or non-existing platforms into digital interfaces, into digital platforms. Right now, there's a lot of companies that are purely offline. They do offline acquisitions. Their businesses are run mostly offline, but they want to bring their whole stack, so to speak, online. And one way for us to help accelerate that, as I mentioned before, is with financing. How can we help their customers get financing on a digital way and slowly integrate them into the digital ecosystem that's that's out there? And especially with COVID-19, everything is becoming digital. So the whole question is, how can we leverage on that and help our customers improve on that aspect? And I think there's a follow-up thing there as well. One thing I think it's also important to mention too is that A lot of businesses, just to kind of emphasize on the lending as a service API that I mentioned in my slides earlier, is that this lending as a service API really is a programmatic way to help any platforms manage their customers in a whole meaningful way other than just for the main priority of their business. Essentially, it becomes a way for them to refer out their customers and earn revenue on that, and also be able to increase order value. And I think that's something that if you don't think about it, it doesn't become as obvious. But if you normally have a customer base that's paying for your services, let's say your services normally is 50K to 100K for any certain projects or etc. And all of a sudden, you can get them to have say, hey, I can give you financing, right? I can give you financing for this service. A lender will step in, and all we have to do is collect a few docs, and we'll be able to see if we can get you financing. That's much more meaningful than a customer going to get financing off any online portals by themselves, or just lining up at a bank and inevitably getting rejected, because they're getting a loan for a specific need. There's a specific ROI that's going to come from getting that new software onboarded. Let's say if they're going to an ERP software, enterprise resource and planning, then obviously there's cost savings that's going to be had, and there's going to be more there's going to be a proper calculated return on their investments, which the lenders can then also properly factor in terms of how they're going to price in their credit risk. So that's just a really important fact that I want to make. Brad's asking how much of a margin on brokers using your platform. So how much margin we make on brokers. We essentially charge a subscription fee for brokers using our platform. It's almost like a SaaS. I want to call it like that. Right now, we're not keen on charging a percentage fee, just because we think there's more value to the ecosystem for us to act as a service provider as of now. For us, it's really important for us to make sure that our service providers, our brokers are enjoying the system, are using something that delights. That's something I've been sharing on my social medias for a long time, is that if you don't have something that actually is making them have an easier process, knowing that they save time and enjoying what they do in terms of using the software, nothing will go on. So right now, the first thing is getting industry buy-in. Do you also have a simple flyer or email that FTX holders can forward onto brokers in their area? Definitely. Yes, yes, and yes. We recently added a new section to our website to talk about a bit about what we do in this arena. It's not specifically too detailed, because a lot of our conversions are still very face-to-face, because we do want to understand our customer and understand what they may need from us before we go in with the full pitch and full sale. But for sure, we'll be releasing collateral over to our FTX community. If you do have anybody you might want to recommend, definitely we're very happy to get your recommendation and see where that goes. And of course, we also want to reward our community members when they bring in these kind of customers to our platform. So we'll also be releasing some kind of referral packages for that, based on a percentage of their package that the customer eventually signs on, the potential customer eventually signs on with us. So very exciting for that. And of course, it's a win-win-win for everybody. That's what I really want to emphasize. Like, if you think about it from a holistic point of view, it's a no-brainer for any platform or any broker to join us, because one is that they get to monetize up to customer in a whole new way. Two is that we teach them about the financing industry that they wouldn't have known before. And then three, we bring them the connections to the lenders that, again, they wouldn't have had before. And then the fourth thing is they can increase order value of their customers. And the fifth thing, which is unique to Singapore, but we're also exploring in other countries as well, is that if they qualify for grants, basically the money's paid for by the government. So essentially, we are leveraging the government to help reduce the credit risk of SMEs overall. So hopefully that also answers that question. So it's nearing an hour mark for us. I'm so excited about sharing everything we're doing. If there's any final questions, I'd love to take them. Please do let me know. I think I answered some of the questions already that came from Telegram, but please do let me know in this chat if there's any more questions that you want me to answer. And I think I'll take one or two more, and then we'll call it a day. So yeah, I also wanted to confirm that our quarterly report usually which comes out one month, the fourth month of the year, we'll be sharing that quarterly report around April 30th, and that will have the case study of LexisNexis that I shared about before. We'll have a bunch of partners that I'm so happy to share that's currently using the platform and benefiting from our services. One thing I think people were also asking for a lot was about case studies on our customers as well. So hopefully we'll share something about that. But generally, we're very excited about the progress so far. Hopefully, COVID-19 isn't hindering, won't hinder our business. We don't see that it will play a long-term lasting impact. But of course, things are unpredictable in business. But as I've demonstrated, we are taking precautions in how to handle the situation. We're taking precautions to include product lines that would also take advantage of the situation. So that's something that we're always happy to explore. Oh yeah, and thank you for sharing. I think yeah, we're always looking for partners. If you think there's anybody that fits in between any of our different product lines, really, our tech is our power. We have been a tech powerhouse for the last 20 years. We built so many mission critical systems for banks, insurance companies, oil and gas companies. That really the technology is our key and core strength. And for our technology, we love to share it. So if there's any value-added partners that you think could benefit from our technology, please also let us know. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's about it. Thank you so much for being involved, and I really appreciate your attendance today. Thank you so much for being engaged with us again throughout the months, throughout our journey. Thank you so much. I look forward to keeping you all in the loop as things keep on progressing. Again, please stay safe during COVID-19. Your health is your first priority, and please don't hesitate to let us know how we can be useful and how we can be helpful. So without further ado, please take care, and that's the end of the stream. Take care, guys.